Kondo's gunshot wound was on his right shoulder. The bullet pierced clean through him, shattering the bone, which required more treatment than I could have given him at the compounds. I was sweeping up the common room when... We have a very important meeting.
Oh, Yukimura. Are you still awake at this hour?
Oh, Sanan. Did you have any business here? If you're going to use this room, I'll leave.
Oh, I don't mind. Rather, I think it's better that you are here for it.
Huh? His words perplexed me, so I felt a little anxious. Just then. It's a common feeling these days. The most prominent Shinsengumi captains began filing into the common room. What were they about to discuss? My anxiety was starting to grow stronger.
Seems like everyone's here.
I don't see Okita.
He doesn't need to hear this. If Soji gets involved, he wouldn't think twice about his safety, and he'll go straight for vengeance for Kondo.
But if that is what he desires, why wouldn't you let him do so? As usual, you are too kind, Hijikata.
So, what do you want from us? There's no telling when war will finally erupt, and for us to gather here right now, don't tell me.
It is exactly as you are thinking. I asked you all to gather here today with the intention of giving something to you.
In his hands was an object wrapped in a fine cloth that he slowly unwrapped before all of us. As I saw what was inside of his hands, I gasped and clasped my hands over my mouth.
The water of life.
Exactly. As captains of the Shinsengumi, we all took on the risks of researching this serum. As such, it is necessary for us to take responsibility for this experiment. Especially if, like Kondo, any one of you becomes injured or maimed to the point you cannot fight. Or in the worst case, there is a possibility that your life is gravely threatened. I know for certain that this serum will be of use to you.
Sanan, are you trying to experiment on us too now?
I know what you're thinking, but under the current circumstances, we cannot afford to lose any more captains.
Screw that! I don't want to depend on that crap just to survive.
Nagakura barked his indignation to Sanan's proposal, and he stormed off. Well, he'll be safe this time.
Perhaps we can call it a good luck charm. Personally, I pray that it shall never come to any of us drinking this serum.
Inoue spoke softly as his fingers pinched the vial and held it close to his eyes.
I will borrow this. Well, I don't think I'll ever use it, but I'll hold on to it. Just in case, of course.
Both Saito and Harada grabbed a vial, and they slipped it into their respective pockets.
Hijikata?
Up until now, Hijikata had crossed his arms and silently observed Sanan's speech.
We gotta take responsibility, huh? Well, you're onto something.
His eyes looked troubled, but he reached for the serum and slipped it into his pocket as well.
Well, I believe that does it for tonight. I just pray that my courtesy will not go to waste.
After Sanan had finished, the captains all bowed and left the room, and Sanan turned towards me.
Yukimura, I am certain you are aware of this. But do not let word of tonight get out to any other warrior. Do I make myself clear?
Timidly, I nodded my head, and Sanan waited for a second before nodding silently and leaving the room. What could I do? The serum created by my father was now in the hands of the captains. I shuddered at the thought of them drinking it. Well, hopefully, most of them will be safe this time.
We still haven't figured out who attacked the chief. I'll bet you anything it's those bastards from the Satsuma Choshu Alliance.
Ever since the attack on Kondo, the atmosphere at the Fushimi Magistrate's office had been tense, to say the least. I felt it increase as I stepped into the meeting room carrying tea for the captains. Here's your tea.
Oh, thanks. Could you just leave it here?
I seemed to have walked in on a serious discussion. All around the room were tense, drawn faces.
So what's your plan? The Satsuma Choshu Alliance wants power in the court, but they're also hoping the Emperor grants them all the shogunate's assets and holdings. There is no other way to look at it. They are trying to start a war. We'd be smart to start preparing for one.
You have a point. They've been sucking up to the Emperor, and they come and go at the palace like they own the place. Now, so far as preparing for war...
Sanon has been pushing hard to augment the Fury Corps.
A memory of the other day came back to me. Sanon offered the water of life to all of the captains, and they accepted it.
I'm against that. This is war, not subduing the odd Ronin. There are going to be enemies and allies everywhere in battle. I don't think we'll be able to control them. They're powerful, but it's too risky. Agreed. Besides, it's inhumane.
Then what do you suggest? If you wish to disapprove, you should offer an alternate path.
We're working on that. If it was so easy to come up with a solution, you really think we'd be in this mess? What's your take on this, Commander?
Hijikata furrowed his brow and frowned.
Let me think about it. We need to see what the Satsuma and Choshu are going to do, and we have to consider what the shogunate wants.
Kondo's injury had put everyone on edge, especially with the war inching closer day by day. What was going to become of the Shinsengumi, as well as the Fury Corps? We'll find out soon. December 20th, 1867. It was decided that Kondo and Okita were to be moved to Osaka, where Dr. Matsumoto was. Kondo had required serious surgery and treatment, while Okita needed to treat his tuberculosis. Considering Okita's strength had diminished greatly, even I could see his disease was worsening. Of all illnesses, it had to be tuberculosis. The departure of these two leaders brought solemnity and sadness to us all. Alright, so he didn't end up taking the serum, even though he was severely tempted. Very, very interesting. Okay, my boy's still sick, darn. The date was January 3rd, 1868. The shogunate armies and the Satsuma Choshu armies met at Toba Fushimi to fight in war. The shogunate army was over 15,000 strong, while the Satsuma Choshu only had 5,000 men. With a clear advantage in numbers, the shogunate army was able to make quick work of the enemies in Toba, then thinking they could win in Kyoto too. The Shinsengumi should have been there beside them as well. However, despite the early victory in Toba, the battles became increasingly frustrating for the shogunate, eventually reaching a stalemate. What the shogunate hadn't accounted for was the advanced weaponry of their enemies. Their artillery made close combat nearly impossible. Even with the numbers, the constant gunfire and cannon fire subdued the shogunate men handily. Although the shogunate and Shinsengumi men had guns as well, the range and accuracy of this newfound technology was too much for them. What ended up happening was... the Shinsengumi was resigned to using the same attack formations with swords and spears that they had the most experience in. Saito, Harada, and Nagakura all led their men from the front lines, but all that came from their battles were casualties. However, there was one troop amongst them that suffered no casualties, winning each battle. It was the Fury Corps, led by Sanon and Heisuke. The Fury Corps acted at night, and they were protected under the jurisdiction of the Fushimi magistrate, leading night raids in enemy territory. More often than not, the Fury Corps would return covered in the blood of their enemies. Tonight was no different. I'm home. Welcome back, Keisuke. You're back really early for today. Yeah, about that. Some stuff happened. Heisuke seemed uninterested in talking about it, so he attempted to change the subject. Oh no, did my poor boy drink blood? So, was it bad? Well, telling you won't do much good. I guess this is what war is all about. Huh. He slouched his shoulders and hung his head low. It didn't seem like Keisuke to be so sulky, but it seems like everyone is entitled to days like these. I mean, I guess I can hear you out at least. Did you want to try and talk about it? It may make you feel better. I'm a very good venting person. At first, he was reluctant to entertain my suggestion, then he began to open up. Well, Sanon's kind of a hard ass. Or rather, maybe he's kind of taking it too far. We're Furies, so it's super easy for us to just charge through soldiers into enemy territory. Technically, all we gotta do is break their cannons or guns, and then we light them up so they can't be used anymore. I thought that'd be enough, but the Sanon started barking at us to kill all these people. He also started telling us to kill anyone in the area who was armed. I couldn't really stomach it, so I kinda slipped out early. Huh. When Heisuke had finished recounting the battle, he let out a sigh as he rubbed his temples. Heisuke, wish I could give you a hug. Sorry, talking about it is gonna make me think about it even more. I'm gonna call it a day. Heisuke. He forced a smile as he said goodbye, and he walked past me without a second look. If Heisuke were the one to think it was all too much, then I believe him. But I wonder what would compel Sanon to do such a thing. I wondered to myself if I should let Hijikata know what Sanon, or Heisuke, had told me about Sanon. I mean, I was sure, though, that Hijikata was up to date on whatever the Fury Corps was up to. Actually, was it possible that these orders were coming right from Hijikata himself? Or perhaps from the Shogunate? It is a war we're fighting, so I wanted to give Sanon the benefit of the doubt. Also, Sanon surely had his own reasons, even if it weren't coming from someone else. All I could wish was for everyone to be safe. Just then... Uh-oh. This might not be a good time to be alone.
Who is there?
Hello? You're a little more messed up than Heisuke was. Okay, so the bloodied preview picture we got of you was not you being injured terribly. Just you getting carried away.
Oh, it's you, Yukimura. Why are you awake at this hour? Are you having trouble getting to bed?
Oh. The shock of seeing him gave me a loss for words as he'd suddenly appeared in front of me. The white fabric of his uniform was coated in a dried, bloody mess, congealed and covering him even up to his mouth. Yeah. Oh, I was just thinking about things and I guess I lost track of time.
It is practically dawn, and you should be getting as much rest as you can. We Furies will be turning in for the night soon as well.
It was so bizarre that Sanon could carry on normal conversation despite his horrific appearance. Other warriors returning from the battlefield this afternoon had nowhere near this amount of blood on them. And upon seeing Sanon, I couldn't shake Heisuke's story, so I spoke up out in dire need of answers. Oh boy, buckle in everyone. So, what's with all the blood? Obvious questions, obvious. Sanon, what's with all the blood? Uh-oh.
Oh, this? I didn't even notice. It looks like normal blood spatter to me. Todo disappeared tonight, so perhaps it was because I had to pick up his slack.
Sanon's reply was nonchalant, as if the amount of blood on him was nothing out of the ordinary. But I wanted to know what was really going on. So yeah, don't reproach the guy who's covered in blood, maybe. I heard from Heisuke that you're murdering people. A lot of people, Sanon. That's why you're all covered in blood, right? But you did so because you had a good reason behind it, right? Sanon chuckled in response, and after wiping his mouth, he began to answer. Oh dear. I'm not comfortable about that. For some odd reason.
It sounds like I worried you. I believe you have heard the reports of how our soldiers have performed during the day, yes? How our men can't seem to break through enemy lines. Well, the only group capable of doing so with regularity is ours, the Fury Corps. At long last, our powers are finally required. This is a tremendous opportunity for us to showcase what makes us so special. There is truly nothing better than this. So we remain true to our cause, perhaps a tad more than necessary. One can never be too careful.
The calmness in Sanon's answer made him seem so rational that it almost justified his methods. If a warrior had the capacity to fight with more strength and power on the battlefield, then it's only natural to take advantage of it. But even then, knowing the Lotus situation with the Furies, I still couldn't shake the bad feelings. Sanon, are you really feeling alright?
Yes, I feel great.
What I really wanted to ask was, don't you think it's a little strange for you to be covered in so much blood? Don't you think there's something maybe wrong with this picture? But I couldn't get myself to ask him that.
If that is all, then I shall be on my way.
Sanon smiled politely and he walked off briskly. All I could do was watch as he left silently. I truly want to believe that Sanon was acting with the best of intentions out of pride. But I knew there was a chance Sanon was simply murdering out of an animalistic impulse. I just couldn't really convince myself otherwise. For whatever it was worth, though, I hated myself for looking at Sanon this way. Aw, you wanna believe in him. This is war. There might have been nothing else that Sanon could do to justify his methods, let alone his existence. I suppose that I was beginning to realize what it really meant to be a part of the Shinsengumi. Or at least, that's what I'd hoped. Shaking the anxiety away was proving difficult. If Sanon's murderous tendencies were the side effect of becoming a Fury, what if he couldn't really subdue the feelings from the bloodlust after all? What if, in fact, he were being driven by it, instead of overcoming it like he told us he did? The burden of these possibilities started eating away at me. As morning came, I'd awoken with the same stress. Great, well, I'm super stressed out now. With the dawn came the sun, and with the sun came the sounds of cannon fire. However, it seemed as though the attack planned by the Fury Corps turned out to be successful. The Shinsengumi were able to attack an enemy encampment, and although many of our men were injured, we were able to do them some damage. Nagakura attempted to rile his men into action.
Hey man, why the long face? The enemy's base is just right there. We're gonna blast through them this time. So, everyone follow me!
His attempts to cheer the men roused their spirits a bit, and he charged to the front of the line. When afternoon had passed, one of the enemy cannons was pointed at our headquarters, with one of the cannonballs smashing right into it. Cannons pounded the Fushimi Magistrate's office, and the ground shook with each impact. I was treating injured warriors in our infirmary, and all of the captains gathered in the next room.
So, the opposition forces had some issues this morning with their artillery, but they're right back at it. Hijikata, we can't keep this up. At this rate, the magistrate's just gonna be a sitting duck. I had heard the Fury Corps were successful in their sabotage raid last night, but it appears though they were able to repair and resume operations as usual this afternoon. Currently, we are experiencing difficulty reaching anywhere near the enemy encampments. Then Shinpachi'll be...
Hijikata bit his lip to the point that his face went pale and he stood quietly. The sounds of cannon fire continued to echo in the background. Everyone expected Nagakura not to return. Then out of nowhere...
Yo, guys! Why is everyone looking like someone died? I just got back! Shinpachi!
Everyone was bewildered to see Nagakura.
Man, you really had me worried there. I hear the situation's pretty bleak out there. Yeah, it's nuts.
Nagakura was covered in dust, dirt, and blood. Then he wiped his face with the back of his hand.
Well, there's no way we're getting back into that enemy camp for the time being. I mean, if you're down to lose all your men, then sure, we could go for it. Commander, there's nothing else we can do. Please, order the retreat.
His brow furrowed and he scowled furiously. And now we're on fire.
Whoa! What's this? Where's the smoke coming from? The cannon must have set the building on fire! We need to get out of here or we're dead! Hijikata, we have to retreat!
Even Nagakura's pleas seemed to fall on deaf ears.
Toshi!
Until this moment, the Shinsengumi had never known defeat in battle, but they were helpless against the firearms of the Satsuma and Choshu. The Shinsengumi was Hijikata's life. Defeat was hard to accept. After what seemed like an eternity, he let out a long, ragged sigh.
I guess this is the end. Nobody can win a war with swords and spears anymore.
His knuckles turned white. There were several more minutes of tense, breathless silence before he finally looked up, his eyes burning with fury.
We're pulling back. But we haven't lost. They'll pay for this.
Fury wasn't the only thing in those eyes. Behind them I could see a bitter, desperate agony. I just realized the poor Fury Corps has to go and evacuate during the day. That must have been painful. Afterwards, it was decided we would leave for Yodo Castle, who were our allies, and we were leaving the magistrate as it was catching fire. Oh my.
We're under attack! Damn it! Who's doing it?
It seems like we were caught as we were leaving the magistrate. The Satsuma Choshu troops must have realized we were vulnerable, and they seized the opportunity to take over the magistrate.
Those uniforms. It's the Satsuma. We will hold them back. Yukimura, go on ahead. Gen, take good care of her.
Aw. But they're still wounded I need to tend to. Besides, Sanan and Heisuke. The Furies are still inside there. Inoue yanked my hand in his direction when I tried to pull towards the magistrate.
I am certain they will be safe. Have faith in them. Let's hurry. Now come with me.
Okay. My boob. I was so concerned about the wounded soldiers in the triage, but I need to keep my faith in Sanan. Guilt washed over me as I ran away with Inoue pulling my arm. Alright, here we go again.
Yukimura, this way! Hurry, hurry! If we go this way... Oh!
After we had been frantically sprinting down Fushimi's main road, Inoue stopped suddenly. My feet skidded as I came to a sudden halt as well, and warriors in enemy uniforms appeared.
Hey, they're in Shinsengumi uniforms! You ain't going anywhere!
Yukimura, I will hold them. Make a run for it.
Inoue released my hand, and he reached for his sword on his waist. What? I couldn't do that! I'll fight beside you!
Do not be foolish. I was tasked with protecting you. So you leave this to me.
What?
Hurry to the alleyway! Head for Yodo Castle!
Inoue pushed me into the alley. He unsheathed his sword in one majestic movement, and he charged towards the enemy.
I am Genzaburo Inoue, captain of the Shinsengumi 6th Division. On guard! Ah!
As Inoue ran towards the troop, they calmly drew out their guns and got in a line. Inoue! No, not like this.
Prepare your weapons! Fire!
The row of rifles fired at once, their bullets ripping through Inoue before he fell to the ground. Inoue! Inoue! I yearned to jump out to him, but someone grabbed my hand from behind and stopped me. Who is this? Let go of me!
You mustn't go. Do you wish for his death to be in vain?
As my anger grew from this mysterious interruption, I turned around. Wah! That was not who I was expecting at all. Sister brother? Did you just save me from getting killed? Why? I mean, I guess you'd want to do it yourself. Well, you don't really want her to die, I guess. You want her to be in pain, but... Kaoru? What the hecky hey? Plot twist. You're... Kaoru?
Now come with me. You should be able to reach the back entrance from here.
I was still in shock, but she grabbed my hand and led me as we walked down. But wait, Inoue is...
It is too late for him.
Her cold words pierced through me like a dagger. In the moment, I was forced to accept Inoue's death. After all, I saw it happen right before my eyes. Inoue was so kind and he tried to let me escape. Just a few moments ago, he was pulling my hand. And that's when I snapped out of it. The person who's pulling my hand now is Kaoru. Why are you helping me right now? As she walked in front of me, I tried calling out to her for an explanation, then she turned.
See, I was confused from the chaos as I was trying to escape from where the fighting was. But then I'd seen you running from the magistrate. Ever since I first saw you, it felt like we weren't mere strangers. Perhaps because people said we looked alike. This must be fate. Trust me for now. Besides, the man from earlier wished for your safety above everything.
Her words filled me a little bit of courage. Inoue had sacrificed himself so I could escape. So I have to honor his wishes. I tightly gripped Kaoru's hand and I nodded. I want to go to Yodo Castle. Do you think you can show me the way? Kaoru nodded firmly and we ran together, gripping each other's hands into the darkness. I'd like to believe you were helping me, but I don't believe. I'm scared. I wasn't sure how we'd found the strength to run.
This way now, hurry!
There were several close encounters with the enemy, but I'd grabbed a hold of Kaoru's hand and we ran.